Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Happy Thursday. Happy Baby Friday. I was in here earlier and I was getting the show ready, so I didn't really have a lot of time to chat. I just kind of gave a generic good morning, everyone. So now I'm going to go through it a little slower. If you saw the members tab on the channel, you see that we have custom badges now. It only took me a year to figure it out, but you guys were kind of amazed when I learned how to use the members tab anyway. Lady May said, hello, new to the channel. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I do see some new names. Please hit the sub button, please, and get reminded. Never know when we're going to go live. Well, I shouldn't say that. I'm pretty predictable. I'm trying to make myself sound all mysterious and wild. Live every morning at 9 a.m. Tulsa time, which is Central time. Sometimes we do have kind of out of the blue lives throughout the day. And of course, if you're a member, then we have our own members lives. So like I said, it only took me about a year, me being so tech savvy, to figure out members badges. So if you're a brand new member, you have a Christmas tree. I'm just really excited I figured something out. A month is a gingerbread man. You can see my theme, I'm sure. 2 months, the Grinch. 6 months and up is that Nightmare Before Christmas, Jack and Sally. And for Pat, who's been a member for a year, so Pat stands out like a sore thumb. Pat is 1990s Christmas Mariah. Okay, the other Mariahs wouldn't fit. This is not the face full of fillers Mariah, because that one wouldn't fit. It's the 1990s Mariah. So if you see Pat, that's what she is. Now the emojis and stuff, I'm still toying with that, so I'll see you next year if you know what I mean. Let's see who's in here. Tracy said, I'm not a Grinch, but I love him. I'm a huge Grinch fan. Huge, huge, huge. Love the Grinch. Well, you came to the right place, Flo Nightingale. I think you're going to like everybody here. I think you are. We're all friends. Even if we don't agree on someone's theory or speculation, we're cool with each other. We get a few gate busters that come in and we don't pay them any attention. They don't really get their way around here. And we have a saying that the trash just kind of takes itself out. Speaking of the trash taking itself out, mine's just going to have to pile up around here because it is cold AF. 1 minute, it's tornado weather. I don't know if you've heard, but we've been having tornadoes in Oklahoma. And then next, it's an Arctic blast. It is so damn cold. What is Pat bitching about? Hold on 1 minute. Pat wants the gingerbread emoji. You can't, Pat. You're the original member. You've been a member for a year. You have to be Mariah, Pat. Don't forget your 1990s Mariah. You're not Mariah post Nick Cannon, Pat. No making Pat happy today. She wants to be a gingerbread man. Well, she's got to shave off 8 months to have that. Sorry, Pat. My DeLorean's not working today. You got to be 1990s before Nick Cannon, Pat. Before Mariah. Okay, Pat? All right, Pat will have to calm down. She's probably sitting in her backyard looking at her new gazebo in the snow right now anyway. It's okay. If you get timed out, it's because 1990s Mariah Carey Pat has put her phone in her pocket. Don't take it personal. You'll get back in. So, goodness. Very extra emotional this morning. I'm sure most of you heard the news about the indictment with little Quentin Simon yesterday. I do, for sure, have a show about it today. I know many people went live about it last night. I wasn't in the right frame of mind to do it. So, since we're in the theme of Christmas, it's going to be like when you've already had 4 or 5 Christmases and someone does it 2 weekends later. This will be 2 weekends later. Don't worry. We're going to get through it, and you'll enjoy it. So 1 o'clock today, we're going to go through the indictment and a few other things about little Quentin Simon today. So I was really, that did me in. And then, of course, the middle of the month, I get real pissy because we're coming on yet another month, little Summer Wells. Today is 18 months. 18 freaking months, guys. I'm not the one, I back the blue, okay? Unapologetically so. Some people call me naive. I'm not naive. I just know that some investigations take a lot longer than others. In this case, I still hold out hope. I'm telling you, I really, really do. I don't have a lot of faith in the sheriff, and I don't have very much faith in the investigator Pruitt. I just don't. 18 months in, no arrest, no updates, not even a snippet, nothing. Not even a snippet. I look at other cases, and I know it's not fair to compare cases. And I'm not talking about the cases that were solved fast, because sometimes the stars just align and things fall into place and things do get solved fast. They do. Most do, to be quite honest. Most do. We don't even have a chance to talk about those cases because they do get solved so fast. This is a little different story. The most update we've had is when Court K tweeted the TBI before Leslie got all shitty with everybody a couple of weeks ago. And Leslie tweeted back to Court K. And she said, absolutely, this is a criminal investigation. It's actually the first time we've seen it in writing. She said, this is a criminal investigation. And she said, we haven't ruled out foul play. Okay, that was in August 8th, to be exact. This is December 15th. 18 months and we have not ruled out foul play. Well, that sounds pretty damn foul to me, don't you think? I shouldn't compare cases, but I look at the chief. And remember, chiefs aren't investigators. Sheriffs are not investigators. They're not. So the investigator would be Pruitt. That's who we need to be raising hell with. Get to investigating. We have an investigator that has to give his shit to the sheriff, that has to give it to the DA, and I don't have a lot of faith in the DA. It doesn't seem like the DA is very confident. It doesn't seem like he's beating down their door either. But I'm going to go ahead and compare other cases. Harmony Montgomery, the chief, knew he was bringing a knife to a gunfight. Let me put it that way. He got outside resources. I need your help. Most recent on our brain would be the case of little Quentin Simon, where Chief Hadley again knew he was outgunned. He knew it. You know, you might have a department of, I'm just going to use a round number, of 20 people, but only 2 are investigators. So when you know 2 investigators aren't going to be enough, that's when you reach out. Chief Hadley did. Unapologetically so. In his second press conference, he said he was relieved. He kept thanking them. He said, I'm so glad. I'm so glad the FBI sent me 40 agents, he said. And well, yesterday, we heard an indictment that would make you swallow your own damn tongue. Very recently, also, we have Athena Strand, the sheriff of Wise County, reached out to the Texas Rangers and the FBI. Boom, done. Here we go. Hawkins County is not going to do that. They're not going to let loose of the reins, and the FBI and TBI can't make them. They can't make them. Hang on one second. I'm going to go off topic for just a second. Alicia said the sheriff who's overseeing Athena. Oh, yeah, he does. He reminds me of Tommy Lee Jones in No Country for Old Men. Alicia, how are you feeling? Alicia had to have surgery, and I've been worried about her. Alicia will answer in the chat. I'm not going to make the show about Alicia, even though I could. Alicia's an awesome person. They're not going to do it, though. And when I say not even a snippet, I mean something. We don't expect to have the whole case file. Unlike some people that are following the Idaho 4 case, they think they need to know everything that's going on. I think they need to know everything. Got into a big fight with a girl named, if you guys were in that show, you'll know what I'm talking about. Got into it with a woman named Cherry Piss because she believes that they should just let everybody know everything. And mind you, she's in Louisiana. This happened in Moscow, Idaho. The Moscow massacre monster is not going to go to Caddo Parish, Louisiana to kill Cherry Piss. And I tried to explain this person, and it just didn't go well. But anyway, so no, we're not expecting anybody in Hawkins County to tell us everything that they're working on or which way they're leaning. But, you know, to light a fire under the case, you could say, this is just an example, you could say we have CCTV at 11:58 a.m. on June 15th. We can see Candace driving. If anyone happened to have been at that Walgreens on June 15th, please let us know. You know what I'm saying? Like in the Michael Vaughn case. They had an FBI agent. Now, mind you, that's a true abduction. That's a different story, so don't get it twisted. I know you guys won't, but I have to remind myself. Doug Hart, FBI agent, actually worked on the Elizabeth Smart case, pulled up shop, had an office right there because they knew they had an abduction on their hands. At the 1 year mark, they put up some CCTV and they said, we want to talk to this guy. If anybody knows this guy, they recognize this guy, we want to talk to this guy. Also, another very recent on the brain, Idaho 4, they're looking for somebody who drives a small white car. I'm not going to give you a make and model because we're very confused about it right now, but you get my gist. You get the drift, right? Summer Wells today, 18 months. Not even a snippet. Not even a, like Katerina. Welcome, Katerina. Katerina said they haven't released anything. Nothing. So they did mention a red pickup truck that was in the area. They want to talk to that person. Well, that person doesn't want to talk to you, obviously. So you're going to have to do, Detective Pruitt, you're going to have to do some detective work. And you're going to have to get with the DMV and you're going to have to start finding red trucks and who own those red trucks and mark it off your list. Because as of now, you haven't said you don't want to talk to the person in the red truck. I am very curious if today being the 18-month marker, a year and a half, if they're going to give any sort of, if there's going to be any sort of news briefing, something on WJHL or something like that. And if it is, it better not have to do with that blessed reward fund. Piss on that. Quit talking about it. You're wasting precious airtime on that failed ass reward fund. You knew it was going to be a failure because they were talking about what to do with the money, knowing she hadn't been found. It was set up for failure. Don't waste any minutes, any prime time minutes on that stupid reward fund. It needs to be about Summer Wells. So like I said a couple of weeks ago, it just kind of happened out of the blue all at once. People were tweeting Leslie at the TBI. She was kind of getting testy on the Twitter. It was kind of, I think one person, she just kind of said, this conversation's done. Don't tweet me anymore. Don't tweet me anymore is kind of what she said. If you have any questions, she said, look at our frequently asked questions. We've looked at them. Exactly, Shay, cherry piss on that. I don't need to look at the frequently asked questions. I check it frequently. There's nothing new on there. There's nothing new on there. 18 months in, and you have not determined if she wandered off or if it's foul play. You're telling me in 18 months, if she wandered off, nobody would have come across her? Really? There's kids that have gotten lost in avalanches. And no, they don't find them in a day or a week or a month, but eventually they're found. Where could Summer Wells be? Where could she be? Share Bear said, I wish Summer had the Savannah sheriff. The sheriff in Savannah is really cool. But if you're talking about the chief, Chief Hadley, yeah. He parked his pride. Called in the troops. 40 FBI agents landed in Savannah and they got to business. He wasn't worried about not getting credit. He wasn't worried about his own dirty shit that he's been up to and they might come across it in their investigation. Now, was he? Now you got a 19 felonies, 19 on that indictment for Leilani. Yet where do we sit with little Summer Wells? And Summer Wells is so close to all of our hearts for so many reasons. One of the reasons, it could be the first case you followed, or for some of us, it's how we became friends. We came together through this case. Sharon said, Lawson is not going to do that until it's taken away from him. And as long as he's the sheriff, it won't be taken away from him. They just don't do that. He has to be not the sheriff. Then you wonder, what's the next sheriff going to do? What's the next sheriff going to do? Let me go through some comments. I have the link pinned. We're going to bring up our friend Trevor, because I tell you what, I guarantee Sheriff Lawson knows his name, because Trevor is stirring it up, and good for him. Hang on. All right. Now, these comments are not from the last show that I did about Summer. They're actually from the community tab from this morning. If you have time, from time to time, just check the community tab. I just put different stuff up there. I like to hear from you guys between shows, and not everybody's on Facebook and not everybody's in Discord. Kayla Page said, I believe it is another story like Joe Clyde from Dixon, Tennessee. I hate to say it. I hope this little girl gets justice soon, like she deserves. You don't hate to say it, because we all agree there is something way more going on here than wandering off, but we will lean to foul play. That is a good example, though, of a sheriff, chief, whatever you want to, whatever title you want to put on that person, parking their pride and using the resources available to them. Here you go. You can have it. Let me know if you need my help. I got my guys here for you. You're still going to get the credit. I promise. They still give credit to the hometown guys. They do. They're still going to get to be on the podium at the press conference. Mr. I don't know what all these, there's a lot of numbers and asterisks and stuff in here. I'll just say Mr. The thought makes me sad that those two lowlifes are still walking free. I still feel deeply that they sold that poor little precious girl. A lot of people think there was a transaction, considering they have not even as much as found a swatch of a t-shirt or a shoe. Of course, Candace has always said that she was barefoot. Candace only keeps, the only part of Candace's story that she can keep straight, well, besides abduction, is that she was barefoot. And the basement really sticks with her. The basement, and that she was barefoot. She won't even entertain that sometime during the afternoon when Candace was not paying attention, Summer could have put shoes on. She's barefoot. But you get my drift. A lot of people have that theory that there was a, like I said, transaction. And when you hear, and if you remember, Don, when he was speaking to Brian Enton, and Brian Enton was talking about, well, I think he was talking about wandering off, and they won't even consider her wandering off. That's just not even a possibility to Don and Candace. And as far as them in hot water or not, they'd be better suited with going along with the wandering off theory. But Don said, talking about Candace, she could have made the wrong friends. That really honed in with a lot of people. Coherent said, what happened in that time gap, Candace? Your stories don't match. Where is Summer? Now, this is what really gets me going, because y'all know I don't care about polygraphs. I don't care about rewards, but I do care about time. You can make more money. You can't make more time. We try, but we can't make more time. Time's very crucial, period. We know what time to be to work. We know what time this show is, hopefully. What was going on all afternoon, Candace? Just like where Summer said, kids don't vaporize into thin air. So if she wandered off 18 months ago, somebody would have come across her. Somebody would have come across her. Let's see what our friend Trevor has to say on this 18-month mark. Hello, Trevor.
Hello. How are you?
Good, my friend, and hats off to you. I understand I was waiting for this show and to have you on panel to say congratulations. Our one and only friend, Trevor. We have other friends, but only one named Trevor. So if anybody else comes along and your name is Trevor, pick a new name because there's only one Trevor. Trevor got the attention of the Attorney General in the state of Tennessee, who's going to be looking into Sheriff Ronnie Lawson.
Yep, we got the letter the other day.
Now explain how that all came about, Trevor, because this is huge. I don't care what universe you're in.
So, as you and I and many others have discussed, there's a lot of questions about corruption surrounding Ronnie Lawson going into what happened with his son and definitely after. And that's what really caught my eyes when the whole situation happened with Brandon Lawson. So I put together a letter. I don't do email. I don't phone call. They'll just file it away. But I know you send a letter to their doorstep and it gets somebody's attention. So I wrote a letter.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that you brought that up. And I don't mean to interrupt, but just so people know, emails can be easily, oops, I didn't get that. We know we ignore phone calls, we ignore texts. You send a letter, especially certified to somebody, it gets the attention. We talked about that with the Michaela Jones case. Anyway, go ahead. I'm so glad that I knew you did, but I want to highlight that.
Definitely. So I wrote to the Tennessee Attorney General of the state and didn't get a response. I wrote to the U.S. Attorney General in Greenville, which is through the DOJ, our federal Attorney General for Eastern Tennessee, and he wrote back.
Can you share with us what the Department of Justice Attorney General said to you? Because that's a big ass deal.
He said that he was going to be sending what I wrote, and what I had sent them was just a basic list of what I think is going on in Hawkins County with Ronnie Lawson and why I think it should be looked into and how I think it also ties into Summer Wells' case, just the whole deal. And he sent back saying that he was going to send it to federal law enforcement agency. I assume FBI Knoxville. He didn't say it, but he's going to send it to a federal law enforcement agency to be reviewed and looked into.
And anybody else with an extra envelope and stamp that is a taxpayer in Tennessee, don't be shy. The floodgates are open now. They know that people are concerned, especially if you're in Hawkins County. Especially if they get that postmark. If they get that postmark from Hawkins County, they know something's going on and they've got to look into it. They just have to. Eventually, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. And I'm not talking about, do not harass these people. Don't. But if, like I said, if you have an extra envelope, you have an extra stamp, particularly if you live in Hawkins County, they need to know. This is so awesome of you, Trevor.
Just going to keep up the fight. I mean, we're just starting and finding. Recently, I've had locals reach out and different people, and there's such a deep running corruption, it seems like, and we're finding more and more that I'll be sharing with DOJ and other investigators. I'm trying to follow up with them next week to give them more information that I've been finding out in the past week or so, and hopefully get their attention on it more to look into it.
Yeah, there's your friend Katrina right there. We like to all say Katarina's our friend. She said Trevor rocks. See, and that is huge. And let me tell you something. Even if they don't get back with you and say, this is what we found, because I'm sure you're prepared for that. They're not big about answering to the public.
Definitely.
Just the fear that's going to go into his bald head that he's got other eyes on him. Big eyes. They don't like the cockapoo doesn't like to play with the pit bull. And that's the problem in Hawkins County. They don't want other people bigger than them. That's why I compared it to Chief Hadley in Savannah when he didn't care. He parked it all on the side, didn't care, and bring them in. I mean, 40 FBI agents showed up. Why doesn't Lawson do that? And I don't even want to hear this stuff about, because it's not a federal case. Nobody thinks she went across state lines. It's a child. She's a child. It doesn't have to be anything. It doesn't have to be across state lines type of thing, right?
Exactly. The FBI they have to investigate federal crimes, but they don't have to stay away from state crimes.
Not at all. And when a child is involved, they don't balk at that at all. Like I said, Savannah, Georgia, Manchester, New Hampshire, there's many, many cases where a child is missing. The FBI gets on board right away. Now, as time goes on, if the locals say, no, we got it, but it's been 18 months, they can call them back anytime and say, listen, we're at the end of our rope. Show up. They will. And I hope they do. I hope at some point the sheriff says enough's enough. It's been 18 months. Now, there was a grand jury I heard a couple of weeks ago. Any rumors around town that might be for summer, or do we know?
I've heard that nothing came out of it regarding the wells. It was a scheduled grand jury that met for, I don't know what charges they brought up for other people in Hawkins County, but I've heard at least that nothing was brought up regarding the wells.
Mm-hmm. Hang on. Not Sunshine Country Chicken said, you'd think child trafficking would be a federal concern. It's a huge federal concern. I'm not saying that. She said, well, if everyone wasn't corrupt. You see, in the case of Summer Wells, what they are saying, and all I can go off of is what they're saying. They're not talking about child trafficking. They've never mentioned that. They have said foul play or she wandered off. Well, it's 18 months and nobody, between getting in and out of their storage sheds on their property, has come across, like I said, even a swatch of a t-shirt. People have been hunting. They've been fishing. Let's not forget the very extensive search they had for her. It's not like they stepped over Summer saying, well, it doesn't really look like her. We'll come back to that child. No. So they're not even focused on that. If they bring the FBI in, or at least that resource is there. That resource is there. And it would be great if he'd park the pride and bring him in. We know that there's reasons why they can't, though. That it seems. Right, Trevor?
100%. And he doesn't want anybody to, because once he gives the reins over, they can see anything. And the second they step a little too far and see his dirt, then he's the one that's screwed. And they won't hesitate to also bring, no matter what they're investigating, if they find stuff on him, they'll send that over too. It's not like we're investigating some and we're not worried about this. He'll be screwed as well.
Mm-hmm. Tracy said, I think Don loved Summer at least more than Candace did. Just my opinion. I also think he was really concerned when she came up missing. I think Candace is lying to him. I think Candace is lying to him too. As far as his concern, I definitely at some points got genuine concern from Don, and I still don't know where Don's ass was all day. I can't guess. I can't guess. I don't know
Yeah.
where he was all day. But he says he was at work all day. Fine. But when he got home, he went straight to the shed. This is according to him. Why didn't he go out on his own property and start looking for his daughter? He didn't venture out into the woods on that 11 acres that he owns. Why wasn't he searching his own property? That has always bothered me. He goes to the shed, then he starts dealing with law enforcement that's at the house. I mean, I've never understood that. Anybody want to help me with that? Trevor?
I agree. And see, I think that, and I mean, there's many theories. Nobody knows exactly what happened, but I think that he is aware of what happened, but I think she could be lying to him about what happened. So if it was an accident cover up, I think the circumstances that she's telling him could be a lie, but I think he played a part in part two, which was, getting rid of Summer. But what happened during the day, I wonder if that's what he is being lied to about. Because I think there may be that gap there, but he's not completely I don't think he's completely unknowing of what happened.
How could he be? We're 18 months in. And let's not forget, we heard these two when he didn't realize his phone was still on. Some people are like, oh, that was a setup. I don't think so. They were fighting with each other. He was yelling at her. This is two people that are used to fighting with each other, obviously. And he talked about how Starlink is his friend. He has 7 alibis. And he said to Candace, he said, but you're going down. Now, she didn't jump out of that recliner with her swollen gums and start taking swings at him, even though she'd been breaking his doors that night. She said, I know. So he knows what Candace did because he said, you're going down. He didn't know anybody could hear him. And she said, I know. Yep, Kamari said right there. She said, I know. Who would say that? No. She would say back to him, because we know how they fight with each other. Well, you're going down with me, buddy. Oh, you think you're not going down after she breaks some more doors? She said, I know. That made me sick to my stomach. I know. That's what she said. I know. She didn't say it calmly. She said it in agony. I don't know if it was because of the swollen gums, because she smoked all those cigarettes after Dr. Phil got her new teeth, or if it was an agony like she knows she's going down. I don't know. So I picked out just a couple of clips I wanted to go through today because it's really been weighing heavily on my mind. Not that it doesn't every day, but some days, hit harder than others. So WJHL a few months ago put this together. Where did Summer go on June 15th? So let's start with the morning. The morning, now Candace was trying to sell us that this was an emergency situation and she had to take Candace to the ER. That isn't what happened because Candace did not stick to her daughter's script. Candace said she went to, no, I'm sorry, I have it backward. Candace said her mother had an appointment, a doctor's appointment. But Candace did not stick to her daughter's script and said she went to the ER. We all know that that's a very different scenario. We know the difference between when we go and we park our ass in the seat in the waiting room and we wait to get called back. There's a difference between that and the ER. The ER is like Walmart for me. It's one of the 7 layers of hell. It's like the DMV. You're captive. You could be there for 3 hours. You could be there for 13. You don't know. So she says, Candace says, I went to the ER. Totally different than what Candace was trying to say. Candace cannot keep a straight story. Candace also has the prior history of child abuse. She lost 2 children to the state of Wisconsin. ICU said she made the statement when Summer passed on Ernie's panel. Yep, she did. There's no parent. I don't care how poor, how whatever word, how uneducated you are. If your child is somewhere around your property, you're going to be running to find them. Then you're going to call everybody you can to help you.
Mark Reynolds, thank you very much. As this week marks 10 months since family members said Summer Wells disappeared from their home in Hawkins County, News Channel 11 continues to work to find answers. Tonight, Ansley Daniels in the Beech Creek community with a timeline of June 15th, 2021, leading up to that night.
We've walked you through what has happened since Summer Wells disappeared the night of June 15th. But for the first time, we walk you through that day with her mother and grandmother from their perspective just hours before she was reported missing.
Candace and I got up that morning. She came out and took me into the ER because my leg was messing up on me.
The hospital is
Okay, right there, Candace. The minute she opened her mouth, I almost had a heart attack. That last March, when Candace, oh, we got a little bit of an echo. I'm sorry. When Candace said my leg was messing up on me, Candace took me to the ER. I thought, this is a totally different story. This is a totally different story. And we're supposed to believe that Candace on June 15th was really concerned about her mom's leg. Candace does not care about anybody. Do you really think she was like, Mother, I have to get you medical attention. Mother, your knee looks so swollen. Oh, Mother, please let me get you medical attention. I have nothing else to do today, Mother. Mother, I don't need to drink R&R all day and abuse my kids. Please let me take you. Please let me take you. Do you really think that happened, or do you think she had other plans, Trevor, like seeing Hunter?
Oh, yeah. I mean, she doesn't care about anybody else but herself, and that's evident. I mean, if somebody doesn't care about their own children, they're not going to care about anyone else, really, besides themselves.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Have to get Candace. Now, mind you, according to Candace and Candace, all the way to Gatlinburg, when they went to the Hatfield and McCoy restaurant or museum, whatever it is, supposedly all the grandkids were beating Candace in her bum knee all the way there and all the way back. So as Candace is driving, supposedly she's just letting all the kids beat the hell out of Candace's workman's comp replaced knee. But that day, she's got to get her medical attention.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense, huh?
Yeah. Supposedly you're letting the kids just beat her in the knee. Good Lord. But that day she needs medical attention.
It's about 25 minutes from the Wells Beech Creek home in Kingsport.
She took me into the hospital, and I ended up getting a shot for it to get rid of the pain. And they prescribed me medication.
Summer, her mother and grandmother spent the day in the closest city to their house.
Then we waited around.
Oh, and then we waited around. Okay, so they show the Walgreens, Trevor. You're familiar with the area. I've been through, but I don't know it like the back of my hand like you, not even near close. Muscles and Mascara made a very, very important point on here. She said there's a pharmacy inside that hospital. Why did they go to the Walgreens way down there?
It's a good question. I know some people, and I'm not, making excuse for any of their actions. I think they lie about everything, but I know some people have a set pharmacy because the one inside the hospital is through the hospital system, and some people aren't here, at least aren't a fan of the whole one big hospital system here, and like they get their medications through their regular pharmacy. Now I don't know if that's even their regular pharmacy or not, but
And the name of the hospital that she said she went to is Holston. What is it? Holston what?
Holston Valley, I believe.
Holston Valley. Because Robin is saying they didn't go to the ER. They went to a quick care, but they said that this was on WJHL, that they went to Holston something. You there, Trevor?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yeah, just have a little bit of distortion, but Holston Valley is a hospital.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't believe 18 months in we would have that confusion. Okay, I about had a heart attack. All right.
My prescription, Summer went swimming that day at the hospitals, I believe it was.
We were waiting on my mother's prescription from the drugstore at Walgreens on Fort Henry.
The three, along with a friend that Candace describes as a minor, then came swimming here at Warriors Path State Park. It's where the last known video of Summer was taken and then posted to TikTok.
We had to wait for Mom's prescription at Walgreens.
Okay, this got a lot of people's attention, and there were many emails that went to Ansley Daniel at WJHL. So I'm gonna replay it so you can listen to it. When she says the swimming video is the last video of Summer, a lot of people are still under the impression that the milk video was taken that day. Now, I'm not going to say it was or wasn't because I don't know. I've heard it was taken as far back as April. But according to investigators, according to what was told to WJHL, the very last video of Summer is at the swimming hole. Did I lose you, Trevor?
Hey, can you hear me now? I think I fixed what was going on.
Okay. So the last video of Summer is at the swimming hole. Listen to that again. Because many people, I didn't even have to email and ask, reached out, and Ansley, she emailed people back, and she says, according to Pruitt, the last video of Summer is at the swimming hole. It's not the milk video.
Mm-hmm.
Waiting on my mother's prescription from the drugstore at Walgreens on Fort Henry.
The three, along with a friend that Candace describes as a minor, then came swimming here at Warriors Path State Park. It's where the last known video of Summer was taken and then posted to TikTok.
We had to wait for Mom's prescription at Walgreens, so we just went up to Warrior.
So the last known video of Summer was taken that day and posted to TikTok.
Yep.
That would have been nice to know the summer of 2021 when I watched that milk video until my eyes went crossed. I swear to God, I get PTSD if I see a milk jug in the grocery store.
Yeah.
And a lot of people believe that the milk video was posted later as a way to throw people off by Candace. Don't discount Candace. Don't discount Candace. And it wouldn't have been odd for her to have that jogging suit on anyway, because it was a little chillier that day than it normally is. Yeah. Not that Candace is a plan ahead type of person that checks the weather and says, well, in case summer gets cold, I'm going to make sure to have this with me. Of course, according to Candace, it was already hanging up in the truck. But then according to Dawn, she picked out her own clothes that day. So who do you believe?
Exactly. Another thing, and I know it just barely clipped on after you paused it, but when she was talking about how the reason they went to Warriors Path was because they were waiting on the prescription, I've never, at least when I've gone to go and wait for a prescription to be filled, thought about going 15 minutes down the road and swimming while they fill a prescription in that time. Like, that's so, I'm not sure that anyone goes and does a whole thing like that while they're waiting on a single prescription to be. That doesn't make much sense to me.
There's just one lie after another. I don't expect Candace to really do anything the way that any of us do, but to go and say, now, according to Candace, it was hot. According to other people, it was unseasonably cool that day, but it was hot for Candace. So they go to swim, which the water would be cold, but they let Summer swim. She buys the twisted tea for Hunter. According to Hunter, she owed him a vape too. Why would Candace owe Hunter a vape? That's a very important question, and it's overlooked quite a bit. Why would she owe him a vape? For what? So
Yeah, why
go ahead.
I was just saying why. I mean, I feel like I know people look at the situation with Hunter's son, but it's like that should just be the red flag should just be flying at that point. But not only hanging out with a minor like that, but also she's sitting here buying alcohol, buying vapes. I mean, buying nicotine for a minor, like, and then like you said, she owed him one. So obviously this is a reoccurring theme.
Yep. So she gets him the twisted tea. When she's talking to McDonough, this is Candace, I'm not showing it today, but when she's talking to McDonough, he brings up the twisted tea. And because Hunter had already told him, with his mother sitting there, that tea was for him. She says, no, that tea was for my mother. If my mother was here, she'd tell you. Grandis doesn't drink alcohol. Grandis was picking up pills anyway. I mean, I'm not saying that Grandis would never touch a drink. It wasn't for Grandis. So that's why I thought nobody believed her anyway. When Grandis spoke out to WJHL back in March, and she only did it because she was pissed at Lawson. And right from the get, when she brought up she went to the ER instead of a scheduled doctor's appointment, I was like, oh no, Candace, if your mother was standing right there with McDonough, she would not lie for you because she's not even keeping something that light under wraps. She's already off script.
Mm-hmm. Besides abduction, they're all three off script from each other. Mm-hmm. Besides the one line of saying she was taken. Nothing else. Like, they don't realize, I guess, but everything they say is just a little bit off from each other. And that's the thing, is even a small detail shouldn't be off, because the truth is there's one truth. There can be infinite amount of lies, but there's one truth. And the second you start bringing multiple truths in, one's not a truth, or none of them are.
There's only one version. The truth is one version. And even if your recollection of the day is a little different than somebody else's, still the truth is the truth is the truth. So what was it? I'm going to believe Grandis over her, because Grandis was pissed at Lawson. She didn't have time to get the script together, because that's the only reason she did that WJHL interview, was because he said they're not cooperating. They have lawyers. That's the only reason she did that.
Mm-hmm.
And Fun to Ski is right, because for month after month after month, we do opposite day on here. And I'd say, well, it's opposite day again. I did a whole show called Opposite Day.
There was all kinds of trash everywhere at Warriors when we showed up.
And she tried to sell that trash thing to McDonough too. There was just all kinds of trash. Why would she care about litter? Why would she care about litter at all? She's trying to say that the twisted tea that she bought for Hunter, she was trying to play it off that way to WJHL, because when she went to Allie's house to confront them, and she wanted to know what they told the TBI. That was the whole reason that she showed up there in person. Because when Allie called the TBI and said that Candace had been there, they called her back and said, well, what was she driving? But she was there, and she wanted to know what they had been telling the TBI. And she was specific with Hunter about, did you tell him about the twisted tea? See, so that's on her mind more than Summer, because she's telling WJHL there was so much trash out there, because she knows this twisted tea is going to come up.
Everything else but Summer is what's always mattered to that whole group.
Yeah, what do you think they're doing today? Speculation only. 18 months, a year and a half since Summer has disappeared. What on earth do you think what do you think the topic of conversation is today?
Probably what they're next, where they're getting their next alcohol from, or where they're getting, if they're still using like they were, if they're where they're getting their next fix. I mean, nothing that has to do with anything productive or anything to do with their children. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And I let Summer out to play. And we just stood there for about 15, 20 minutes. And then we all got back in the truck and we got Mom's prescription. And I took him home. And then we came home.
And so then Summer came back here with you later that afternoon, right?
Yes.
The trip from Warriors Path back to Ben Hill Road is just over 17 miles. But Bly couldn't recall how many hours that was before she reported her daughter missing.
About how many hours was that before she was reported missing?
You know, I really can't tell you all the time details because time gets away from you when you're trying to enjoy yourself.
The three then returned here to their...
Oh, time gets away from me and those googly eyes sticking out. Oh, time gets away from me. Time gets away from me. Okay, let's talk about time. From the time you got home to the time you called 911, let's talk about that time, Candace. I would love for Ansley Daniel or anyone that got her on the hook to ask her what went on that whole afternoon. And don't say just regular stuff, Candace. Describe to us what is regular stuff for you, because the TBI determined that Summer went missing early afternoon that day. Early afternoon. Early afternoon is not 6 o'clock and you called at 6:30. She said she was missing for 10 minutes. 10 minutes is not 6:20 p.m. because she called at 6:30.
Yeah, she doesn't know time, but you know, she's got all the other places she went to. She knows, she can list every single random store she went to.
Mm-hmm.
But can't remember how much time passed when her child was with her, that child that went missing that day.
And what's funny is she couldn't name off that trip around Robin Hood's barn until Hunter talked to Chris McDonough. Then suddenly, oh yeah, we went there. Oh yeah, but see, she didn't know all that shit before.
Nope.
For whatever reason, she didn't want to bring up what all went on that day. Probably because she does understand time and she knew that she had the whole morning filled up. But there's a gap from when they got in the driveway to when she called at 6:30 that night. Like Bob said, 6:30 p.m. is evening, not afternoon. Early afternoon. What do you guys consider early afternoon? Noon would be early afternoon.
Yeah, noon, 1 o'clock.
And that's what the TBI has always said. Early afternoon. They also, because she slipped one day, and they pinned her down and they said, we know you left 2 times after you got home initially on the 15th. What do you think she left 2 more times for? I would say once to get rid of Summer, and I'd say once to pretend like I'm looking for her.
Yep.
That's just a guess. She told 911 that she went on a walk, and when she came back 10 minutes later, she was gone. But she told WJHL that she was planting flowers. That's a big difference. That's a huge difference, and she wonders why people suspect her.
I'm just wondering how June 15th she turned over a new leaf. She suddenly became a huge environmentalist, cared about the littering, and now she's active now. She's out running and jogging and walking. I mean, she's a whole new person on June 15th.
Yeah, I about fell out of my chair laughing on one of the shows when you're like, there's no nobody's out there jogging or walking around Ben Hill.
Yeah, that's just not a thing. Like, nobody's out there doing that.
Would it not strike you as something odd if on the day that Summer went missing, Candace was out there looking like Richard Simmons with her wristbands on and her earbuds taking a walk?
Yeah, her big sweatband over her forehead. Like this doesn't happen out there. I've been down there. I can't even count how many times I've been down in that area, and I've never seen a person walking, jogging, crawling, rolling anywhere near the road down there.
Yeah.
But Candace was.
And she wasn't afraid of the bears that day because she was taking a walk. Now that's what she told 911. That's what she told 911. And then she tells WJHL, which is just a couple weeks later, she forgot what she told 911 because she said, "Oh, we were planting flowers. I don't walk around here because I'm scared of the bears. I'm scared of bears and snakes."
I'll tell you, she was just a whole new person on June 15th. She must have woke up feeling different because she cared about everything that she never cared about before.
Well, for one, she cared about her mother because she wanted to get emergency medical attention for her mother. So there's one. Okay, that's a red flag because she gives a shit about Candace, who got beat in the knee by her kids. All right, so she cares about Candace's well-being. That right there is out of the norm.
Yeah.
She cares about all the litter out at Warriors Park.
Yeah, too bad they weren't needles.
Yeah.
She wouldn't have cared then.
So she cares about all the trash out there. She noticed that. She cares about planting flowers after a hell of a day. After all that running around, she decides to top the day off, not by cooking dinner for her family or anything, but we're going to plant some flowers. No.
I really can't tell you all the time details because
I just noticed this. Look at her nose. Is there a bruise on her nose? Can you guys see that? Look between her eyes and look at her nose. Besides the goofy look on her face, I mean, it looks like she's bruised. That's weird. I just noticed that. Near her eyebrow?
Yeah. I see what you're looking at.
It does.
Yeah.
And this is straight from their website. This is straight from their channel. And don't forget, in this interview, too, Dawn told her to watch what she talks about because her mother's listening.
time gets away from you when you're trying to enjoy yourself.
The three then returned here to their home on Ben Hill Road. A neighbor says that she first heard Candace calling for Summer around 6 o'clock that night. Police say that she was reported missing around half an hour later, around 6:30. In the Beach Creek community, Ansley Daniel, News Channel 11.
Time gets away from me. The way she even said that, I work with elementary school age kids, and if I ask them that go on a trip or something, I say, "How long were you there?" That's something they'd say is, "I don't know. I was just having fun." It's not something that I mean, I don't understand time. I just wasn't looking. What? Nobody asked you to check the time down to the millisecond on your stopwatch, but you know roughly what time it is.
Oh, of course you do. Yeah, of course you do. Yeah, you know what time it is. You know roughly what time it is. I mean, of course, I'm looking at my computer, and let's face it, this woman was on her phone all the time. She was always posting that TikTok shit. She was a very, very, very frequent poster to Facebook. Mm-hmm. And I still think about the fact that she had to make that post a little bit after 6 o'clock on Facebook. And it reminds me so much, I don't know if you followed the case, but reminds me so much of Letitia, when after she killed Gannon, she made sure to post on Facebook to make it look like nothing out of the ordinary was going on. But there was a long, long period noted by Colorado Bureau of Investigation where Letitia had no activity on her phone. I'm not going to be surprised if, when this does come to fruition, if they don't also compare Candace's social media from that day to other days, and they say, well, roughly from 1 p.m. to 6:09 when she posted that picture, she wasn't really active on her phone.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what she says about the day. And then we're going to kind of do it back to back. We've never done it like this before. Why not? We go through Dawn's theory. This is what Dawn, who wasn't there that day, okay, according to Dawn was at work all day. According to Candace, he was at work all day, but she was on, I think it was Ernie's panel one night. And she said, I don't know. I don't keep up with him. I don't even know where he was that day. So I don't know. I don't know. Anybody want to take a guess where Dawn was that day? She said it. I wonder if Dawn has had time to catch up on all of her BS while he was in the clink. Because she did. She said, I don't even know where he was that day.
Yeah.
And I was like, that day? Well, we know what that day was. Where could Dawn be? Supposedly, Dawn called her and said there was somebody on the property touching little kids. Nah, she made that up just to get Hunter's. She was setting something up for the fear that Hunter would be asked later. That's just my opinion, though.
And the deer without a trace.
Our Erica Lunsford walked that trail with Don Wells and sat face to face with Sheriff Ronnie Lawson in a WDLT exclusive interview.
Now, 114 days after the little girl was reported missing. Erica, you've learned a lot. Tell us more.
Okay, before we get into this, because I have a lot to say about Dawn's theory, a lot, and I know you do too, Trevor. Let me do a poll in the chat. We do know supposedly sometime during the day, I think he said 10:45 a.m. he went to a Dollar General to get something to eat, I guess. Probably get him a pop, get him some chips or something. So he said that at 10:45 a.m. he was at a Dollar General. All right. I don't know. I'm going to assume Pruitt checked that out. Do you guys think, I'm polling the chat, that Dawn was at work all day long? That he was at work when he got the phone call from Candace, because he said he talked to her all the way home because he was surprised that the signal held up the whole time. Do you think Dawn was at work all day?
That's right. Summer's father tells me he believes the trouble started at the basement door, a door he says her brothers often left unlocked and wide open.
So we get on them a lot, and so you can't do that, but it just, we'd always find it open a lot of times and stuff. So we tried to control that, but to know, they couldn't control it 100% of the time.
Dawn Wells tells me Summer was last seen going to the basement to play with her toys. Her 3 older brothers upstairs, her mother and grandmother in the yard facing away from the basement door, and Dawn Wells at work.
We don't know if someone was waiting in the basement or if she come outside here and went to the swing. All we know is she went down the basement.
Wells says he believes someone was lurking at the top of the dog trail.
You can't do that.
I couldn't get my mouse to work. I'm sorry. And I know I've brought it up 1,005 times. Look at that damn mattress. You know that the news is coming to your house. You know that. And you don't even get rid of that crusty, stained mattress. You know you're going to be walking them through your theory about the abductor in the basement, and you don't even move the mattress. I just don't even know. I just don't even know about that.
But it just, we'd always find it open a lot of times and stuff. So we tried to control that, but to know, they couldn't control it 100% of the time.
Dawn Wells tells me Summer was last seen going to the basement to play with her toys. Her 3 older brothers upstairs, her mother and grandmother in the yard facing away from the basement door, and Dawn Wells at work.
We don't know if someone was waiting in the basement.
They were facing away from the basement door. So they have their back to the basement. Now, this is the basement is something that Candace has always tried to sell. Okay. Now Don's walking us through it. He's at work and they have their backs to the basement door. According to Candace, she went to the basement. She looked under a mattress, probably that mattress, which is laying on a concrete floor, as if Summer could be under it. But she looked under looked under the mattress, under a couple of blankets, went out that door that he's showing. And now, mind you, she already said no one in, no one out, but she forgot that part. So she goes out that door. She looks to the right because Summer would sit there and play by herself with her toys. And she yelled, "Summer, Summer." And from there, this is the first initial search for Summer Wells on June 15th, 2021. From there, she knew she had been abducted, Trevor.
Yep.
Yet all they had was just their backs facing that basement door. Now, according to him, somebody was in the house. The boys had been home alone all day long. How did the boys not notice someone in the house with them?
Yeah. Someone just hanging out in the basement.
According to Jose, downstairs in that basement is where they would play their video games. So where was the phantom abductor hiding?
She's probably just sitting there playing video games. I mean, was in the wide open, I guess, right? Unlocked the door for him, came right in.
Well, hell, they're so used to strange men just moving in with them. They probably got the guy some Mountain Dew.
Yeah, got him a snack. He was probably hungry coming up that hill.
Shit.
Or she come outside here and went to the swing. All we know is she went down the basement.
Will says he believes someone was lurking at the top of the dog trail, just feet away from the basement.
Okay, so he thought somebody was in the house, but now he says somebody was lurking at the top of the dog trail. And I have to touch on this because East Tennessee is gorgeous. Well, the whole state is gorgeous. East Tennessee is a very, very beautiful, beautiful area. So when you see their property, you think, I could make that place look really nice. I could make that place look like a new penny. But we know their priorities are different. So, okay, so it's not someone inside the house now, Trevor. Now we have someone lurking at the top of the dog trail.
So he finished his lunch and went back outside. That's where we're at.
Okay, so we went from we had some snacks. We had a microwave pizza and some Mountain Dew from inside the house because we got tired of waiting in there for someone to come home to kidnap. So we go to the top, get some fresh air, the abductor did. So the abductor goes out and they're just going to hang around the top of the dog trail. Now, again, he said Candace and Grandis had their backs to the basement door. That would have them facing the dog trail. How did they miss the abductor? So they have their backs to the basement door, so they wouldn't have seen Summer getting abducted. But now he's saying the guy was lurking at the top of the dog trail. Well, that would be facing the dog trail, so I guess they didn't see the abductor at the top of the dog trail, right?
Apparently not. Can't see anything. Walking around with their eyes closed.
I would say there's some holes in Don's theory. I think there's some things he's not thinking through. That's just my uneducated guess, Trevor. I'm thinking there's some holes in Don's theory.
I would have to say I agree with you.
Basement door. He says that the predator somehow managed to snatch Summer, then raced down the steep hill as she struggled.
I just was gonna walk down through here.
The trail was not. It snatched Summer, then raced down the steep hill as she struggled.
I just was gonna walk down through here.
She didn't seem in a hurry to want to do that. Who is this guy right here with him? Is that Tim Mullen? Was he there for this interview? You only see the back of him. I mean, obviously, if I saw a face, I'd have a better guess. But who is this? It's not somebody with the news station.
No.
It'd be like old Goofy Tim to be there, the media manager.
Well, I'm sure he set up the interview. He's the media spokesperson for these great, wonderful people on 110.
Mm-hmm. Well, just like the basement, he has his back to the camera.
Yeah. He's watching the dog trail. Got to watch for any of those abductors coming up with ham and cheese sandwiches.
Phew. I like when he goes, I think you want to go over here. And the lady's kind of like, yeah, sure. You know, she's thinking, no, I don't, but okay.
Sure. Whatever. Yep.
Sure. Yeah.
Trail was not an easy walk. To get down the rugged hill, Wells and I had to hold on to trees. I struggled not to trip or even fall on tree roots.
I wonder when Don rewatched his theory being played out on WVLT, if he happened to notice the news anchor saying, we were struggling not to trip. We were holding on to tree branches. We were hoping not to trip over the roots of these trees sticking out of the ground. But we're supposed to believe that the abductor, when he got tired of waiting in the house, he got bored. So he went and lurked around the top of the dog trail that Don never knew was on his own property, yet ran right down that hill and somehow didn't trip over any tree roots or anything. I wonder if Don caught that.
Here's something about those game trails, if I can, real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I participated in one private property search. It obviously wasn't on the Wells property, but it was a nearby property that they felt needed to be searched. And they had similar property where it runs up the mountain behind their house. And they have game trails that run diagonally up the mountain. And so when we climbed up the mountain to search up and down, we followed the game trails. And the game trails are so steep that at one point, or most of the time, honestly, I was down nearly on all fours climbing because it was so steep that if I just tried to walk up it, I would fall down the mountain. So all those game trails are not a nice walk in the park. These are super steep. If you stand up and don't hold on to anything, you'll fall. Like, not a place you go out to take a nice little walk. Just for reference on the game trails there.
Yeah, I'm glad you said something because you were actually on one. And like Boo Sheet said, here's a red flag. He didn't even know it was there. Of course he knew it was there. I've seen videos of his children, his boys, on motorcycles going up and down it. It's beat down for a reason. They've been using it. And like you said, you were on another one and it's steep. Like the news anchor said, she was struggling to stay upright because she was having to grab a hold of limbs and try not to fall.
Yeah, now try carrying a full child down that.
A full child. And look, they even pan to what Don has on. Don's got on work boots and he's having trouble keeping his own footing. And it's his property. But you also have a 5-year-old child that is struggling, or as Don says, struggling and gasping for air. Jack, be nimble. Jack, be quick, is all I can say.
I just wonder what creature grabbed her that has enough hands to cover her mouth and grab onto trees and hold on to the ground if they slip. I mean, I'm just wondering. Usually, I know most people have 2, but this person must have had like 8 arms if they're doing everything that he's describing.
What a good point. What a good point. So you're having to grab onto tree limbs and all kinds of things to keep your balance going down the hill. You're struggling with a child that you're abducting. And you wouldn't have enough arms because you have to hold on to the child, cover Summer's mouth. Now, this is according to Dawn. And somehow you're keeping your balance. Nah.
Her mouth had to have been covered, or they heard her screaming. If she was screaming completely as loud as she could, they would have heard her going down the hill.
Of course they would. And let's not forget that according to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, their Child Action Rapid Department, I don't know the acronym, the FBI card unit, they said there was no abduction. There was absolutely 100% no sign of abduction, which is why TBI says wandered off or foul play.
Mm-hmm.
Yet, if it is wandered off, why do we have so many different stories? My first assumption with this case, if you listen to my show from June 16th of 2021, was that she probably just wandered off and they're going to find her somewhere on her property. Well, no, it doesn't work that way.
A little bit.
So the dog kind of came down this trail.
Yeah.
Pretty steep.
Yeah. I didn't know the dogs even had a trail down through here until the police dogs followed it all the way to the road.
I always have a problem in these cases when people volunteer information that wasn't asked. That anchor has not asked him one time, how long has the trail been here? Did you know about the trail? But he has made sure to tell her several times that he didn't even know that trail was there. Why? Why? Why would somebody volunteer something that they were not asked? I still have a big problem with Allie getting her 2 cents in with Chris McDonough, and she made sure Chris McDonough knew how busy she was all afternoon. He just looked at her. He didn't ask what she had going on. I always have a big problem when, not just in this case, anywhere in life, when somebody has to volunteer information that they were not asked.
Says he overheard authorities say search dogs followed Summer's scent down the trail to the road before losing it. He painted a vivid picture of a kidnapping, telling me a neighbor likely heard Summer scream.
I think whoever grabbed her probably had her mouth covered, and I think she was gasping for air by the time she got down through here somewhere because our neighbor heard a scream, a really funny scream. I think they just carried her to a vehicle and threw her in there and took her somewhere far away from here.
Hawkins County Sheriff Ronnie Lawson has not publicly commented on specifics of the case until now. I asked Sheriff Lawson about Wells' claims. Did dogs follow Summer's scent down the trail to the main road? The sheriff says yes.
The dogs had a pretty good trail on track for a little while, but then it disappeared. But they lost scent when they come to the road. And sometimes canines, they will lose the scent when it changes different.
And we've heard that in other cases. Lawson isn't selling you, he isn't selling you something. He isn't selling you a dog that won't hunt. We've heard that in other cases. Sometimes they will lose the scent at the road. Also remember when Candace slipped, and we know that she slipped because she would not want to admit this. She would not want to admit this. When TBI said, we know you left 2 more times that day. From when you initially got home from all your running around that morning, the day that makes 0 sense, we know you left 2 more times. Would it be safe to say that those 2 more times she might have had Summer with her? Or that she took Summer down that dog trail and she handed Summer to someone? I don't know. If Summer's with her mother, she wouldn't be gasping for air and kicking and screaming down the dog trail. She would be walking with her mother. Is it safe to say that that's a possibility?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they maybe went from the gravel to the pavement.
And did a neighbor hear a scream?
Best I recall, it's been a couple months ago. I think it was unfounded.
Wells tells me the family home on Ben Hill Road is surrounded by drug dealers and buyers.
You get all kinds, with the drug trade, and we've seen quite a bit of stuff surrounding the meth thing. We had parked our neighbors caught them parked at our road in our driveway in the middle of the night or early in the morning and stuff.
His neighbors were probably getting drugs or selling drugs, Dawn.
Nobody's parked in the Wells driveway. That didn't happen. Their driveway is not somewhere you're gonna. That's the thing, is this whole theory of somebody came up there and took her. If you are on the main Beach Creek Road out there, what I call the main road, that before you get on Ben Hill, you can't see their house at all. Maybe a little building or a shed at the very top of the hill. You get on Ben Hill Road, all you see is their mailbox and their driveway, because their driveway goes straight uphill to their house. So somebody would have been sitting there up at an angle facing uphill to sell drugs to somebody that doesn't even live on that on that property.
So nobody's just going to be parked randomly in their driveway.
No, maybe on the road on Ben Hill, by somebody else's property, but nobody is going to be on their driveway.
I always think before I got mad at him, when Jeff Bobo was talking to Don, that very first time he talked to him on the phone, and he recorded it and he put it out. And I've listened to it a million times. And when he said, this was on June 18th, 2021, first time we'd ever heard from Don. And it was just a recorded phone call. And he goes, I'm just trying to figure out who would just drive blind into the holler to grab a child. Don goes, me too, buddy. She's gone, buddy. That's all he said. Yeah, I know, buddy. She's gone, though. That's all he said. That's what he said.
Yeah, I would like to know what child abductor is just going house to house. Maybe there'll be a child there. Maybe they have a basement door. Maybe they have a dog trail. Maybe there's a kid here. You don't just go pull up different houses and be like, maybe there'll be a kid here. Especially houses like that where you have to go drive a quarter of a mile up a driveway to hope that there's a kid.
Mm-hmm. And everybody and their dog, no pun intended, has complained about the struggle they have just getting up that damn driveway.
Yeah.
You know, you almost need special equipment to get up the damn thing.
And there's no way that somebody could be parked, because I know also he said that somebody took her down the hill and took her to the road. You can't park on Beach Creek Road. It's one lane going each way, and it's like an embankment going off the side most ways. So there's nowhere to just park. You know, there's not like a breakdown lane that you can just pull over to. So where was this person just sitting their vehicle at that they took Summer to with their 8 hands and down the dog trail to their car that was parked non-existently nowhere? Like, there's nowhere for them to park it.
And why were they waiting all day long with the 3 boys there? If you just want to take a child, you had 3. You had 3 right there. Not saying that I want something to happen to the boys, but you had 3. So why did you have to wait all day long for them to show up with Summer?
You had 3 alone. Even you had 3 kids alone. No cars, no adults. I mean, but you wait until the parents come home and then you take their other kid.
It makes no sense. And remember, this family is not they're not unfamiliar with missing cases. They already have someone in their family missing. Wouldn't you be extra vigilant that your child doesn't go missing? But you leave 3 children at home alone. And then lo and behold, you get home after a day of running around, and within 10 minutes of you deciding to go exercise for once in your life, your child is kidnapped. No.
Like that and run them off, and they get mad, and they raise Cain. We've had quite a bit of problems.
But Sheriff Lawson tells me Wells lives on a quiet street.
I've heard rumors of, there is maybe a drug dealer on that road, but it's just like anywhere. Ben Hill Road is no different than any other roads in Hawkins, Sullivan, or any other county, as far as even Knox County. We all have drug problems, but no, that's not that problem. That's not correct either.
It's not like a hot spot.
No, it's not a hot spot, and it's a dead end road, so there's very little traffic, if any.
Don Wells says he doesn't know.
Not that I'm a big Ronnie Lawson fan, but I think it's funny that he laughed at that scenario because he knows what Don's doing. And he goes, no, it's not a hot spot. And he goes, and it's a dead end road. So think about that too. You want to kidnap a child, you're not going to use a dead end road. You got to make sure you got several ways to get out.
And that road doesn't even look like a road. Like if this case hadn't happened and I ever drove by that road, I would not think that Ben Hill was even a real road. It looks like a gravel side street, whatever you want to call it, that people just pull off to, may lead to somebody's extra property. It's not like a subdivision road that you're going to find houses and houses on.
Really? So it's that badly marked. It just looks like an easement or like a utility road or something. You wouldn't even think there's anything more back there.
Right, because it goes off into, as you can see, of course, when you look at the aerial picture of their house, it's all wooded back there. So when you go onto the road after a minute or two of being on Ben Hill Road, you're in trees and it curves. So from the main road, you can't see what's back there. So you wouldn't just explore. At least I've never met somebody who lives in the south that's going to go off on a road that looks like somebody's property and explore. That's usually a recipe for bad things to happen. So it doesn't look like somewhere that's a nice little road that you can drive up and see what's up there.
Know why anyone would take his daughter, but isn't shocked by the disappearance of a child.
There's a lot of missing children.
But Sheriff Lawson says children don't just go missing, especially in Hawkins County.
No, ma'am, we don't have any other missing children.
At Summer's Hilltop home, Wells showed me a refrigerator he says Summer played on.
Again, the anchor did not ask to see the dirty appliances in the yard. Why did he make a point to show this? This is him conducting the interview, by the way. This is him saying, oh, come look at this. We didn't have any room for a teeter-totter, so we let her play in the old refrigerator with bullet holes in it. She did not ask about this, Trevor. Why did he decide that it was a good day to show them the old junk in the yard?
Yeah, maybe if you want to show something that your child play with, maybe a toy, a ball, a doll, I don't know, that swing maybe. I'm not sure that my first, second, third, or 45th option would be a shot up refrigerator sitting in my yard. But, that's just me.
Well, and look at that tin can on wheels. There's Candace's lair.
Yeah.
That she has sold or for some reason got off the property. I still want to know why that hunk of junk, which, had to have been very hard she had to have had help because it's been there for quite a while. Look at all the stuff around it. She's got potted plants. I don't know what all that lumber and stuff is in front of it. This was not an easy feat to get that out of there. For one, the driveway alone, but to get all the crap out from around it. And people said, oh, it's not a big deal that Candace took her camper. The hell it's not. That's a big deal to me. Look at that. Can you look at that shit, Trevor? Old lawnmower that doesn't work. I don't see any cactus. I mean, this is a permanent fixture for old Candace. Now, mind you, there's no electric or water to it. I'll let you use your imagination there, Trevor. But I mean, there's even permanent steps they have built going into it.
Yeah.
God. But now it's gone. And people say that's not a big deal. It's a huge deal. It's a huge deal.
Says Summer played on.
I don't know what else she did. What in the world is that?
And
when he's sitting there banging on the fridge going, I don't know what she did. For some reason, I think I think that's a little more Freudian. I think he's talking about Candace. I don't think he's talking about Summer. I don't know what all she did.
We walked to Summer's swing.
That's her favorite. Yeah, she likes to twirl.
Don Wells is pleading for his daughter's return.
Whoever has her will have mercy, and please let her come home.
Sheriff Lawson says investigators remain committed to finding Summer.
Everyone in Summer's case is still a suspect.
There you go. That's actually the last big update we've had in this case, Trevor, when you think about it.
Oh, yeah.
This was from October of 2021 because my whole face fell when he said everyone in Summer's case is a suspect. He said it again. That has never changed. Everybody involved in Summer's case is still a suspect. We're 18 months in. And this is important to know because everything that we've been thinking was going to happen and break this case is not. I can't tell you how many people jumped all over my ass and said, Utah's going to be waiting on Dawn when he walks out in October. Well, today's December 15th. So Utah is not going to do anything with Dawn. Then we had Pruitt saying that the CPS case has bled over into this, he said. Well, next month is 18 months for the CPS case. I'm not holding my breath, because the CPS case can be investigated parallel. Nothing's more important than the disappearance of Summer in all of this. I'm sorry to the sisters. Nothing is more important than the disappearance of Summer Wells in this, as Pruitt calls it. So what are we waiting on? What's going to be the break in the case? I think a task force would help.
Mm-hmm. I think if Lawson would, of course, like you talked about, is set aside his ego, take his big head out of the way, and let the people that have a lot more experience, training, resources with this find out what happened. Because what he needs to see is this little girl's justice for her, finding her, matters more than any kind of, I won't even call it political, but I call it law enforcement win, gain, whatever he would earn from being the one who solves this.
Mm-hmm. And any of the resources that people are bringing up would be glad to help. You're talking about a little girl.
Oh, yeah.
Her birthday's coming up. Christmas is coming up. This time last year, we were talking about Summer, and we said, wouldn't it be wonderful if she's found before Christmas? And our hope is not diminished. We're not just going to stop one day never talking about Summer Wells again. I know Trevor won't.
Nope.
I know Trevor won't, that's for sure, and we won't either. Well, I'm going to start winding it down, Trevor. This was definitely a lot of interesting things that I'm glad we got to revisit, and it actually kind of got my mind racing about some other things that I want to look into that I'll share with you. Nobody's going to make Lawson do anything because he's the sheriff, and as long as he's the sheriff, he's going to do things his way, and his way is not to let another. He doesn't want any other eyes on him, it appears to me. Am I safe saying that? I don't want to be rude because it's not my area.
No, 100%. He doesn't, and that's been the way from the get-go. And there was an issue with TBI, and they, of course, won't say anything. They all keep it cordial. I mean, they get no gain from doing that, but they had an issue with jurisdiction there because he wouldn't let them in on some things, and I think we all know why, but that already happened, and he's continuing to not let people in, is what we can see, because he's not letting in these extra resources, higher agencies, whatever you want to call it, to help.
No, and that's why, like I said, when the whole thing with the whole thing, that sounds so rude, with Quentin happened, and press conference number 2, I don't mean 18 months later, press conference number 2, when Chief Hadley said, I called the FBI and they were right here. They were right here, he said. I was so glad when 40 agents showed up, because he has nothing to hide. Now, we know that Lawson was hiding what his son was doing. Well, the cat's out of the bag. We all know. And law enforcement covering for their own is not a new deal. We weren't even that shocked about it. Might be pissed, but we're over that. So today's a new day, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely crazy. Trevor, my friend, keep up the good fight, and anything that we can do here to help you, we definitely will.
Always, and I appreciate it. It's always a good time being able to come on and talk the case or anything of that.
All right, let's have a big round of applause for our friend Trevor. He is walking the walk and talking the talk. He got the attention of a federal attorney general that replied to him and said, we're going to look into this. Absolutely. Absolutely.
We'll keep up the push and keep up the fight until justice comes for Summer Wells and for any other child, that comes up, because we know this will sadly come up again. And We need to know that this area will do right by every child that's here.
Absolutely. Blessed to know you, my friend.
Same to you, my friend, and I'll talk to you in a little bit.
All right.
The snow glows white on the mountain tonight, not a footprint to be seen. A kingdom of isolation, and it looks like I'm the queen. The wind is howling like this swirling storm inside. Couldn't keep it in, heaven knows I tried. Don't let them in, don't let them see. Be the good girl you always have to be. Conceal, don't feel, don't let them know. Well, now they know. Let it go, let it go. Can't hold it back anymore. Let it go, let it go. Turn away and slam the door. I don't care what they're going to say. Let the storm rage on. The cold never bothered me anyway. It's funny how some distance makes everything seem small. And the fears that once controlled me can't get to me at all. It's time to see what I can do to test the limits and break through. No right, no wrong, no rules for me. I'm free. Let it go, let it go. I am one with the wind and sky. Let it go, let it go. You'll never see me cry. Here I stand, here I stay. Let the storm rage on. My power flurries through the air into the ground. My soul is spiraling in frozen fractals all around. And one thought crystallizes like an icy blast. I'm never going back. The past is in the past. Let it go, let it go. When I rise like the break of dawn. Let it go, let it go. That perfect girl is gone. Here I stand in the light of day. Let the storm rage on. The cold never bothered me anyway.